few things have changed since we were last here. Well, hello there. Things have changed. About 32 inches of change, in fact. It's been probably about a week since I was last up here, since I finished up the floor. And in that time, we got 2 snowfalls, one about 6 inches, which is pretty normal for November. And then, well, one of 20 plus, which is less normal for November. I knew this was going to be part of the project, but holy cow. Part of me had hoped to have walls and a roof up before this happened. That is the next step, you know. I have a lumber order scheduled for delivery that I delayed. I just spent an hour cleaning out the first maybe 10 feet of my driveway with a shovel. And now we're going to clear this guy off so we can keep working. There's more snow in the forecast. Another, kind of 2 inches a day, every day throughout this next upcoming work week. Yeah. It slows the project out, but it's also pretty fun, not gonna lie. I love winter. I love snow. Finn is over there chewing on some grass. He's loving it too. He's just a pup, so this is the first time doing anything like this. I don't know what else to say, so I guess just on with the work. Ready? Ready? I think maybe the hardest part about the snow isn't necessarily what you'd think. More than anything, it just makes it logistically challenging to work up here. I was already pretty limited with what I could do because I have a small SUV. So I've just been bringing loads of wood up one at a time. For example, the floor that I'm standing on took maybe 3 loads with my car, and then I borrowed a pickup from a friend for all the subfloor for the plywood. So 4 trucks, 4 trips. But for the walls, we have the same surface area times 5, essentially. So my plan was to get all the lumber delivered, skip that step. It was worth the $60 or $70 delivery fee at that point. But now the issue is, where do you put it? So I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna do one wall at a time. I'm gonna be bringing everything up on my own. This took 2 trips to get all of this up. So for today, I'm hoping that I can create a little staging area off to the side that I'll fill up, work for a day to empty, and then fill up again, work for a day to empty. That's the plan. Get everything staged there, remove the tarp from the floor, and then start framing up our first wall. Make hay while the sun shines. Make walls while the sun shines. So now before we start actually putting hammer and nail or nail gun to lumber, it seems like a good time to actually talk about what we're going to build. I had big plans initially to go back into the woods. There's kind of a trail cleared down that way and build a little modified A-frame that was tucked into the woods. It had lots of glass. And then the first time I came up here as the owner, as somebody who was not just dreaming, but looking around thinking, how am I actually going to do this? So it was a lot of emotions, excitement, but also pretty intense just anxiety and panic about like, what have I gotten myself into? Pretty quickly came to the realization that it's the first thing I've built, first thing like this I've built. So simple is better. It was a no-brainer to just build something small and simple here. But small and simple can still be nice. So that's my goal, is to really have a simple shape, but make it as beautiful and as sleek as possible, really. But anyways, with that in mind, we're building a pretty basic 20 foot by 10 foot, 200 square foot exterior. On the inside, it's gonna be more like 170, which is important where I am for building codes. Once you get above that 200 square foot mark, it gets a lot more intense and a lot more work to get the permits. Where's it going? So yeah, 20 foot by 10 foot, and we're gonna go for a shed roof, mono roof, whatever you wanna call it. It's kind of a trendy, sleek look, but it's also just so simple that even someone like me who's never built a building before feels confident that I can figure it out. So with that in mind, we're gonna put the tall wall facing down into the woods here. In the fall, when I first started coming up here to work, there were always moose down in the woods. It's an incredibly beautiful, dense, dark hemlock forest, which I want that big side of the building to open up to. So along this 20-foot wall, we're gonna have a 12-foot ceiling. And then on the back wall, the other 20 foot, we're gonna have a 10 foot. That gives us enough pitch for rain to run off and should make it enough pitch for rain to slough off, but then also it's shallow enough where if you have to get up there in the winter to shovel snow off, which is a thing around here, if you have to do that, it's shallow enough pitch where you can get up there and push it off. With that in mind, my goal for today is to get this initial front 20-foot wall framed up. It's the 12-foot lumber, and I've been really kind of keeping my eye on different bargain sites, Facebook Marketplace, my local Habitat for Humanity Restore. Shout out to them. It's an incredible resource if you have one, to get great deals on windows. That really is the difference to me. Windows. If I built the same shape, small little like 2-foot windows, it wouldn't be very interesting. It wouldn't be very unique. But I was able to find on Marketplace a set of windows that were new, never installed, but have been sitting around for a year or two, that are, I think they're about 100 inches tall and 3 feet wide. So the plan is to have 2 of those windows kind of in the living room of the tiny cabin, with the wood stove between them. And then at Restore, Habitat for Humanity Restore, I have gotten 3 windows, 2 smaller ones that open. And then I got a maybe 3-foot by 2-foot picture window, also from Restore. For today, I want to get this front wall lined up, marked up, and hopefully assembled. I don't know if I'll be able to rise it by myself, rise it. But I've got plenty of friends that are chomping at the bit to come out here to help. So now that it's 0 degrees out and there's 4 feet of snow, it might be time to call on them. We're gonna start by getting this one laid out and marked up and start nailing some wood together. Let's try it. All right, well, I've got my cripples and my sills all in place. Next up, I got to put in my jack studs. I think that's what they're called, which are going to be on the inside of the window. They're going to be what actually makes up that outer edge of the rough opening. And then I've got my headers cut out for that, which will sit on top. And then you have some just teeny tiny little jack studs between the header and the top plate. So we'll give that a try. Well, that was a failure. Kept getting it closer and closer and closer, and every time I thought it was going to be the one. But those last couple pushes, as it got higher and higher above my head, it was just a little too much. I thought maybe I could push it and get it, but the risk was just too high. I mean, if that would have fallen, if those 2x4s and 2x2s I was using to support it would have failed, and I was underneath it, and I got hundreds of pounds falling 5-10 feet onto me, which not something that I want to do. Yeah, I expect to have a sore back from this project, but not a broken back, so kind of a bummer, but I'll get an extra pair of hands up here next time, and maybe we'll have a full wall to raise. So with that, I think I'm going to move on and start trying to frame up the second half. Alright, let's see. 44 and a 16. 44 and a 16. Square. Alright, I think that's just about a day. I'd love to get these guys raised. It is the biggest wall. It is the tallest wall. It's the most complicated wall with 3 windows. So even though that took a lot of time, a lot of effort, feels good. Feels like I made real progress. Next time I'm up here, I'll need a helping hand, get these things raised up, and then we'll do the back wall, which is the same length, 20 feet, but 10 feet tall instead of 12. And then we'll just have the two sides, which are 10 feet each, and only one of them has a window. So that'll be much simpler, much more enjoyable. Not that this wasn't, but it'll go quicker. And then a roof, which feels daunting. But yeah, glad to be here, glad to be coming along, glad to be able to stay a little bit warm. Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, so learned a pretty obvious lesson that I can't lift a wall by myself. So we're on to plan C. Skipping plan B. He's probably coming up here later today, but I saw all these really cool kind of DIY crane with a winch videos online, and I just have to give it a try. See, I've got a strap going across our top plate here, going out to our winch, and then the strap goes back into the forest where it is wrapped around one of the hemlocks. Alright, I've got this braced up to the point where even with some wind and snow coming in the forecast, I feel pretty good about it. You never know, especially up here, the wind can really howl. But I left sheathing off. I thought about doing that on the ground just to have it all squared up before going up with it, but left it off just for that exact reason. If there was sheathing on it, would be a big old sail. So anyways, I don't love just having that one standing there. It looks pretty small on the screen, but it feels big standing underneath it, especially when it's been, laying on its side for a week or so now. Equal parts excitement and apprehension right now, I think. So, holiday coming up. And yeah, fingers crossed it stays upright. All right, we're back up. Buddy and I worked into the dark to get the second half of the wall raised, so we officially have the whole front wall up. It was a beast, 20 feet long by 12 feet tall, 2x6 framing. It was pretty manageable with two people, getting a 10-foot section up a lot better than with one. And we also took some time to really make sure everything was plumb in the vertical. It looks like the top plate has migrated a little bit since we were up here, so I'm going to reassess that plumbness. And then for today, I think I'm going to work on the two side walls. That way we can take some of this bracing down or leave the bracing up and just be more confident in our overall rigidity, because I was pretty worried about it the past couple days.